This is going to be the Region 29 Slow Unison Etude for Clarinet, even year B. And I'm going to take it at the 8th note equals 112. Alrighty, we're going to go through the Unison Etude now. We are in a minor key, which is sad, but it shares the same key as the happy scale, the concert E flat scale that we've already gone through, and which has one flat. But you'll notice that there are going to be some C sharps in there and some B naturals, and that is from the concert C minor scale. The time signature is 6/8. Now remember, the top number tells you how many beats are in a measure, which is 6, and the bottom number tells you what gets the beat, which is 8. So the 8th note gets the pulse. We need to remember that the 8th note will get 1 count. The quarter note now gets 2 counts. The dotted quarter note gets 3 counts. And the rests, of course, are the same. 8th rest, 1, quarter rest, 2, dotted quarter rest, 3 counts. You'll also see the dotted 8th rhythm in there, and that will be 1.5 counts, and the 16th note will be 1/2 of a count. For instance, at the beginning, we're starting on beat 6 because where that mezzo forte is, it's the last beat technically of 24, which is beat 6, and the first full measure starts where it says 1, where there are 6 full beats. So I'll go ahead and play that rhythm in measure 1, starting on beat 4. And there you have it. 4-tay, 5-tay, 6-tay, 1. You'll notice that in measure 5, you also have that same rhythm, but this time it's 1-tay, 2-tay, 3-tay, 4. So in measure 5, it just starts on beat 1 instead. Speaking of measure 5, you can use the tweezer B flat, but there is another fingering that actually has a better sound. So here's the tweezer B flat, and here is the other fingering I'm going to show you. So definitely this one is an easier sound, a more fuller sound. So it's the A key plus the second from the top jelly bean. And you have to do a bit of a stretch. Notice I'm trying to keep part of my right hand down to give it a little bit more cover because it is a throat tone still. So nothing on the back, just the A key and the second from the top jelly bean. So measure 5 would sound like this. I did use the thumb and two side keys for that F sharp. You can do the first finger, that's not an issue. The thumb and two side keys one, if you coordinate it well, is a better sounding one, just like the A, and the second from the top jelly bean side key is for the B flat instead of the tweezer. Whoops, almost said B flat and tweezer at the same time. The other thing you'll notice at measure 5 is there's a little tiny B flat right between the beat 3 of measure 5 and beat 4 of measure 5. That is called a grace note. You're going to tongue that grace note, and the grace note always happens right before the beat. 1 tay, 2 tay, 3 tay, a 4. So kind of like achoo. So listen again. So beat 4 is where that A is. So you have to get off the previous B flat just a little bit early to get onto that A. One more time. Moving right along. So measure 7 and measure 4 have the same rhythms and the same notes for the first half, except for beat 6. Measure 4 and measure 7, just think about it. You're learning the same measure twice in one go. So the D gets 2 counts. Everything is doubled. And the C sharp is with that pinky key right here, this one pinky. Make sure your pinky is curved. And I've talked about this in chromatic. What you need to do is make sure that this finger stays over the hole and the pinky stays curved on the very edge of this key, so that way it's easier to go between the notes without blipping, getting that extra sound. So in measure 4 or measure 7, you're going to have 1 tay, 2 tay, 3 tay, 4 tay, 5 tay, 6 tay, 1. So that would be measure 7. I went ahead and did 7 instead of 4 just because I wanted you to hear the 16th note pattern in a row twice. So measure 7 with the crescendo. Remember, that means to get louder. Make sure you do tongue that F in measure 8. Articulation is super important. Make sure that you put it in from the beginning. It might mean going slower, but you always want to do right notes, right rhythm, right articulation from the start so you don't have to relearn it a totally different way, which is the correct way. And the other thing you can do with the D to C sharp is just go back and forth, and I call these finger sirens. To get that comfortability, that connection, to make sure that it is smooth as possible. Notice there were no blips when I played it. So taking a look at measure 12. Measure 12 is a very similar rhythm to measure 5 and measure 1, and again in square A, which is measure 9, except for we have the third beat broken into 2 16th notes. So measure 12, 1 tay, 2 tay, 3 tay, 4 tay, 5 tay, 6 tay. Remember, the rest is open. 1 tay, 2 tay, 3 tay, 4 tay, 5 tay, 6 tay. Make sure that you sustain that A through until you get to beat 6, because it is the end of a little bit of a phrase. Let me go to 12. And for that, I use the right pinky 2 for that F, going down to the left N for the E, because it's just nice and simple, does that trick. Do not forget that we've got B flats throughout this, so we're going to use the tweezer B flat in measure 13. The only time that you do not use the tweezer B flat is in measure 5 when you do the alternate fingering. Measure 13, remember the right hand is down, so you can just rotate through from B flat to C. In measure 15, we have a B natural to a B flat. What we want to make sure we do is have the banana be natural so we can go straight to the B flat. We do not want flips because it creates extra blips, extra sound, and it's just harder to move as quickly. Notice again in 15, a nice crescendo through to forte in measure 16. And that is the end of the phrase. 12 was halfway through. And then staying nice and loud. The last note of measure 16, which is beat 6, is that high A. So it's going to be thumb with the register key 1, 2. Remember, it's fingered like below average D. It's above average A because it's above the staff. Goes up to that thumb C. Now we will want to use the side key B flat because B's are flat in the key signature unless otherwise marked. And the only time that it is natural is in measure 15 and again in 23. So I guess only 2 times. So we've got that B flat. We've got that same rhythm that we had at the beginning. So looking into the last note of measure 16, which is pickups into square B. 6 tay, 1 tay, 2 tay, 3 tay, 4 tay, 5 tay, 6 tay, 1 tay, 2 tay, 3 tay, 4 tay, 5 tay, rest. That same rhythm happens in measure 19 and 20. So remember, there are some slurs and then there's ties. If you see a big slur, and then within that you see 2 notes that are the same that are tied together, that means do not tongue either of them. You're going to hold the tied note for the duration. Since there are 2 eighth note G's tied together at the end of 17 into 18, those G's get a total of 2 held counts. So I'll go ahead and play that. Pickups into 17. And of course, then the rhythm happens again at 19. It's called a sequence. At the end of 19, that E natural is tied to the first note of 20. So beat 6 and beat 1 of both measure 17 and 18, and then 19 to 20, beat 6 to beat 1, those are tied together for a total of 2 counts held. And then at the end of 20, you get softer and you use that middle finger F sharp. But you have a rest. The first note of 21 is an F natural, first finger F natural. That F sharp, only for 20. Hit the bar line, hit reset. Only the key signature affects everything throughout. So in 21, in 22, in 23, you once again have an 8th note on beat 3 tied to an 8th note on beat 4. And once again, that means that you hold beat 3 to beat 4. Therefore, you hold the B flat in measure 21 and 22, both for 2 counts. And in measure 23, that A will be 2 counts. So, for instance, in measure 21, remember to use the right pinky number 1 for the E flat. And then in 23, just like the concert C scale, the last 4 notes are the end of the concert C scale. From the 3rd beat of 23, that A natural goes up to B. I prefer using the right 3B because I just like using my right hand pinky as much as possible because it's less of a challenge to coordinate than my left pinky is over here. And so you'll go right 3B to the left out C sharp, and then you'll tongue and finish off with D. Woohoo! Now, if you want, you could do a left pinky B to right 4 C sharp, if that's easier for you. Once again, as long as you're alternating your pinkies, it's either a left to a right or a right to a left. You never hop, you never slide. So it's never right, right, it's never left, left. Measure 23 to 24. Remember to finish nice and strong. Good luck.